Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by PlayPicks and thelines.com. I'm your host today, Nate Weitzer, flying solo with Midwest Mo. Josh Lander will be back later this week as we continue on in these conference finals, dealing with the Eastern Conference Finals here on Wednesday night. Definitely the more exciting series, although Dallas did get one game last night to extend that Western Conference Finals. But we go 2-2 here to Miami. The Celtics, after their most recent blowout in this series, are -2 on the line, and the total at 204, 203.5 points, depending where you get it. Very low total after just another dominant defensive performance from one of these teams. We continue to oscillate between blowouts here in this series, and the key is always injury news. Looking at that, first and foremost, Robert Williams with the knee. Sounds likely he will go. It also sounds likely the Celtics will get Marcus Smart back from that ankle injury after he went for 24, 12, and 9 in a game 2 blowout, then missed the next two. The Heat have multiple guys listed questionable. Tyler Hero missed the last game, and their offense just tanked without him. Jimmy Butler clearly not looking that healthy with the knee injury. So definitely a lot to monitor there. Stay on top of it at thelines.com. We have our articles up at PlayPicks and the Lines breaking down this game. And if you do need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your local area. For me, Mo, if Rob Williams is officially ruled in, I'm firing on the Celtics spread, money line, whatever you want to do. I just think they're terrifyingly good on defense with that guy back there patrolling. They're the most switchable team in the NBA, and they're number one in 3-point defense. If you can switch, if you can close out on shooters aggressively, and then have a back line of defense like that, I don't really know where Miami is going to consistently find offense, especially with all those guys hobbled. I do expect Bam and Jimmy to come out and play well, despite the injury for Jimmy Butler. The indication might be, he doesn't have anything in the tank right now, but his game is not much based on explosiveness. It's toughness and savvy. And I think 25 points from him at even money is a good bet. Double for Bam is plus 130 at DraftKings. I think both those guys will come out strong, and Miami will be in this game basically throughout, at least until halftime. And that's when you can consider betting the C's on the live bet there. They're a very good third quarter team. And you look at what's more sustainable in terms of these blowouts, right? Miami's blowout in game 3 just seemed like the Celtics, a lack of focus, a lack of execution. In game 4, this blowout was just a lack of options. It was just, you're getting completely shut down, Miami. And it's Victor Oladipo is the only one who can get a shot because maybe that's all the Celtics want to give up. The fact that the Celtics were able to win a blowout shooting 23% from 3 is incredible. They did not even have to play very well on offense. They dominated the board 60-40. They are dominating the paint when Williams plays. They have a good option to guard Adebayo. And there's really no more telling stat than they're plus 23 with Rob on the floor in this series, minus 45 with Daniel Tice. So as long as they can keep Tice off the floor and have somebody who can guard Bam and serve as that back line of defense, they can continue to be aggressive on the perimeter and just shut down all of Miami's little pet actions. And then I don't know where the Heat go to find points down the stretch.
Yeah, I was calling for a need to bench Daniel Tice, and it happened. And lo and behold, that was one of the things that Boston did. You just look; they cut their rotation to 7 last game, and then they really kind of took control by doing playoff basketball to the extreme. Cut their rotation to 7, and then they just attacked Miami's weakest defenders in the pick and roll over and over. And yeah, if you just look at the whole series, like, you don't want to overreact to just the last game. It's so hard because, we as humans, our brains tend to just like lock in on the last thing we saw, right? And that's the Celtics winning in a complete rout. But even just like looking at the series overall, the Celtics are plus 28 in the series. They're plus 46 in non-garbage time, according to how Cleaning the Glass defines garbage time, and then cuts off the stats that happen outside of that. Yeah, they're just mostly completely dominating. And like you said, anytime Victor Oladipo has a 91%, a 91, 91st percentile usage rate, that's just not going to do it. Tyler Hero can come back, obviously. And like, that's probably one of the main reasons Oladipo was such a focus last game. But is he going to help in a situation where Boston is attacking their weakest defenders in the pick and roll? It seemed like Max Strus was really the target last game. And I mean, Hero's probably a worse defender than Max Strus. So I don't see any like easy solutions. And this is kind of why I liked Boston generally in this series. I just see them as a more complete playoff basketball team with nothing but two-way players, basically. And it's kind of coming to fruition now, I think. And I think a little bit of kind of smoke and mirrors with the Heat, just like getting on a rampage in a couple quarters that carried them to a couple wins. But I do really think the Celtics honestly should just win the next two games. And so does the market. They're pretty big favorites in the series. You just don't really see a team around like minus 170 without home court advantage. And I also do lean a little bit to the over, just because these games have really been like trending over for the most part. But then the line drops 3.5 points from 207.5 to 204 here. It seems like a overreaction to just like one blowout here. I think Boston's really able to score efficiently because they get to the line so much. Their free throw shooting, they've landed in the 99th, 89th, 72nd, and 83rd percentiles in these 4 games so far. So they're just getting a ton of free throws because Miami does kind of have a tendency to foul a lot. I think that was one of their few kind of like weaker points on defense. And there's been, an average of like 220 points scored in this series. So I just think maybe this might be an overreaction to one really bad game.
Yeah, I mean, Miami's certainly not going to score 1 point through the first 9 minutes again. And you look at their home road splits, it's definitely something you can expect as a bounce back on offense. Score a 111 at home with a 117 offensive rating in these playoffs. 3-point percentage goes up 7 points. The pace is up 4 possessions per game. And then, like you mentioned, they allow the 5th most free throw attempts when they're at home. They're also 13-2 to the over on a rest disadvantage this year. That's the most frequent situation. 11 points per game. Those are going over. I think they're clearly at the disadvantage here because they haven't been able to rest their guys who are banged up, whereas Boston's been putting Smart and Williams in and out. So I think, there is an option here to take that over along with the Celtics money line. You can get plus 240 at FanDuel, putting those two together. Not the money line, I'm sorry, but the minus 1.5 point spread, which basically is negligible. I don't think Boston can continue that incredible stretch of dominance. I think they can be great down the stretch, but even on the road in these playoffs, they are allowing 106 points per game, nowhere near that 82 number that you would need. You need to hold Miami under 100 in this huge game to basically go under this 203. I don't really see that happening. At the same time, Boston to win on the road, 5-2 on the road in these playoffs. The one win in Miami from a visiting team, and it was just dominant. They just cracked the code. Whatever Miami was doing to play defense, they had an answer for it in the second half of game 2 and game 3. Let's be honest. I mean, they can get down. What was it? 29 points, I believe, in the first half of game 3 and then come back and still make it a game. It shows you that they have all the answers if they can just concentrate and execute against this team. They have advantages all over the floor, and they have a great coach in Udoka. You mentioned Strus. I'm looking at the unders for him because I think he can get played off the floor. I also think the Celtics have sniffed out the action that gets him open early in these games. I mean, both of his threes the last couple games, before that, game 4 Ofer came early in the first half, and then they kind of sniffed it out and shut him down. I think he might be a non-factor. I think Miami might have to trade more offense for defense, supporting the over even more, play Duncan Robinson a little bit more, play Hero if he's available, and just try to turn this game into a bit more free-flowing scoring game, because if they get into a dogfight with the Celtics when Rob Williams is out there, Boston is the more athletic team. I mean, he's just such a terrifying rim protector. I think if he is able to play an entire season, he should be regarded as the best rim protector in the NBA. His ability to switch and come off the weak side and just change shots is unbelievable, and it goes way beyond the stats to show how important he is for the Celtics. Not only defending the rim, but rebounding, which they just dominated in that game 4.
Yeah, I remember when he got hurt earlier this year, and I looked up his on-off stuff, and he has a pretty clear on-off disparity where you can tell he matters. Like the Celtics plus minus went from very good to just like okay without him, and I think he clearly makes a difference. And then, I was looking at the same prop actually for Strus. I'm seeing an under 11.5. Like I said already, he seemed to be the kind of the prime target for the Celtics in the half court. I can't remember the exact stat, and I wish I could remember who tweeted it, but I don't remember it. So I'm just gonna throw out. It was something like they ran like 8 pick and rolls at him in the first half of the last game, and they were averaging like 3 per game or something before that. So I really think if they attack him that aggressively again, Spoelstra is going to be maybe a little quicker to change things up or pull him off the floor even for maybe Martin or Duncan Robinson even. I'm not sure how much better he's going to do, but I feel like you just have to try something if they're just hammering you at the same spot over and over. So, I know that he's been like a pretty big part of their playoff rotation. He's scoring about 11 points per game in the playoffs, but that's like playing almost 30 minutes. So I think if he plays closer to 20 minutes, there might be a little bit of an edge there.
Yeah, definitely. Like we said, I think Jimmy Butler don't get sandbagged by this performance. We saw it in the last series where, Miami didn't show up on the road. Jimmy did. And then they come home and all of a sudden they're just like gangbusters. What was it, 120-80 win over Philly? I don't think the Celtics will lay down like that. Just quick jab at the Sixers and their lack of intensity or heart. Celtics, after coming out of this Nets series and Bucks series, both of which have been compared to the Eastern Conference Finals because of their level of play, I think they just have a certain level of experience now and in these tough situations in a best of 3 like this, where, like you said, I think they win the next 2 games. I think you can look at the market for that, to parlay both those games and try to get plus money, and even look at the finals futures odds, Celtics over Warriors, perhaps, or Warriors over Celtics, if that's the way you think it will line up. But that is all the time we have for you in this one. Enjoy Game 5 tonight. We will continue to bring you every conference finals matchup through those NBA finals, which start in early June. MLB episodes are up as well on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to the page and look for all that good written content on PlayPicks and thelines.com. And until we see you next, happy betting.